In this video, we're going to look at the 4x4 RC Adventure Explorer. This is build part 4. And do a recap, look at some mech hangers, do some preliminary sanding, priming, and paint, and then make some bunks and tables and work on the living section of this vehicle. Alright, to recap, we were inspired to make a 1/18th scale vehicle, something like the Arc 2 or the vehicle from Damnation Alley, a kind of all-terrain vehicle, but we're also inspired by toys like the Ghost and the Millennium Falcon, something that really felt like a home that could kind of move around. We started doing some sketches, putting lots of wheels on kind of like an all-terrain vehicle. Then I grabbed a 4x4 RC vehicle that I had, started mocking things up in cardboard, kind of liked the shape of that. It looked good. We had good visibility of the crew, but there was lots of like cool little bits on it, like the crane and the turret and living space. So then we took that to 3D, printed out a shell, and kind of ran that around, and we're pretty happy with that. We liked the way it was feeling, but decided to replace the back part and add a proper garage so we could carry around another vehicle as sort of a scout vehicle. So now looking at the vehicle, I got to thinking about this mech I had, this Acid Rain mech, and I really dig it, and it would be cool if that could go on the Explorer as well. So I was thinking of these Dugram kind of mech carriers, like this kind of almost like a Chinook that could carry around mechs, and I thought maybe there's a way we could get the mech on the back of the Explorer vehicle since we already added the garage. So I thought of little hangers that could go under the arm. I modeled those, printed them out, and then just bolted those to the back. Really strong, they're glued on, but then I used actual like 2 bolts for each one, and it's really solid, really strong. The mech is pretty heavy, but I thought I'd give it a shot, seeing how it would hang there, and it works really well. It's got a good enough clearance where I don't think it's going to drag, and we don't have to use it for the mech. We could also like hang a motorcycle or different kinds of equipment or things off the back there. So I kind of like the flexibility it's got, but it's also cool that if this Explorer vehicle gets into trouble, we'll have a mech that someone could jump into and pilot and possibly go exploring with as well. So after adding the mech hangers, I figured, all right, I'm not going to add anything more to the exterior right now that isn't detailed, so I kind of want to work on the fit and finish. And so I grabbed some Bondo, which you're probably familiar with, people using on cars if they've got auto body damage. And I really wanted to get rid of the print lines here. I can't stand print lines, especially when you're using PLA. Stuff will look okay in photos from far away, but when you get up close and you try painting it, it just really kind of kills the scale, and it just looks like a 3D print, not like a proper model or a scratch-built kind of vehicle. So I got some rough 150 grit sandpaper and just started hitting some of the rougher parts, some of the lines, but also like some of the roughly printed areas around the curves and the edge and the bottom. Also wrapped up the chassis, took the wheels off so that we wouldn't get any kind of debris into the gears or just any of the working parts in the suspension. Here you can see it's a little bit sanded down, so it looks a little bit better, but it's still really, really rough. So then I got the Bondo and just started to spread it on. I just used my finger and, just kind of spread it around. Got it on pretty thick because once it dries up, you can see here it's like starting to set up. It gets really hard and it's really easy to sand. It's not like some other putties that are tough to sand. So I think I hit it with the 320 and just kind of knocked everything back, took off all the edges, and you can see it's like that lighter dried out pink, and it looks pretty good. The layer lines, print lines are starting to disappear. There's still some ugly parts there, but it's way, way, way better. And once I paint it up and do another pass on it, it'll just get better and better. After this, I washed it off real quick to wash all the dust off, and then I hit it with this Krylon Fusion kind of a like a red kind of paint primer. I think that might be neat if when I paint it with sort of a green or gray final coat, I might want to do some chipping and expose some of the underlying layers of paint. And this will kind of look like, there's metal underneath or some kind of primed metal. So that can give a cool effect. But yeah, it looks like it's sealed up and it's getting there. So, let's jump into the interior again. That's kind of fun and see what we can do there. All right, so in the last video, we started looking at the cockpit. We got some seats designed, which really started to make it feel like a proper vehicle. But let's move back and look at the living area. I'm really inspired by kind of RVs and the Millennium Falcon and also like Navy ships. But also when the Ghost HasLab came out, I really liked that interior, but thought it could be done in a little more compact way. So I started mocking up things in cardboard, kind of looking at how they could fit into that shape. I really wanted that curved kind of Millennium Falcon bench, but I didn't like how in the Ghost it went into a corner kind of shape. So here we've got that rounded wall. It's the perfect place to put that couch. And then on the other side, I kind of modeled a bunk. I went with a few different designs, but then decided to kind of have some of that exposed kind of structural metal. So it kind of helped with the scale, have some bolts on there, but also feel like it was strong, and that like maybe over time they had built it up. Maybe that wasn't originally what that area was used for, but hinting at some cushions, having a little ladder there. Also thinking about the built-in furniture on the side. I wanted a lot of little shelves and places to put weapons and backpacks and little scale things like, bottles and food and stuff like that, so that when this is finished, we can really have a lived-in kind of feeling space. So the first thing I printed out was the bench. I think this is like critical. Like, I just always think of that bench in the Millennium Falcon where they're playing the chess game, and that really getting this to feel good would be a big step in the right direction. So I didn't go with the round table. It's kind of like an extended table, but wanted to make sure that the character's legs fit, that they fit right. And that first pass was a little too short. Then I did this one, and it's perfect. It fits, the larger kind of 4-inch Acid Rain character, but also the 3 3/4 G.I. Joes. So that was something I wanted to do as well. So I went ahead, printed these out in resin. You could see no real print lines. Looks beautiful. And because the weather's getting warmer, I can start sanding stuff, but I can also print a lot better. When the air is warm, the prints come out better, and the resin flows a lot better. So that side of the room, that half, I got printed out, and the furniture felt really good. The bunk, I think, looks really nice in there. It just adds a ton of detail, makes it look really built up, and sells the scale, and gives the other characters just interesting things to do when they're standing around, things to look at, and places to put, like that weapon. I tried throwing it into that one container there, and just little hooks to hang things on, a little basket to put things in and slide under the bunk. So next, I thought, let's do the other side of the room. So thinking of that same kind of structural metal that I used in the bunk, but also in the cockpit seats. Also thought a cool rack above the couch would be awesome to put stuff in, sort of a sink where they could wash food and get drinks, and then of course more storage area. So modeled that up, and I really liked how the basket above the couch kind of mirrored the shape and kind of accentuated that curve. The same with the other little bits of furniture. So printed that out, and everything just felt really good. It feels very crowded, very lived in, but also there's enough space to do stuff. You've got the 2 bunks. You've got all these places to put weapons. I threw some Playmobil fruit in there just to show, maybe Bazooka's like washing some carrots in the sink. There's some food on the table, some cups. Things can go in the rack. I threw a little fire extinguisher up there, but in the final version, this will just be a great place to kind of set things up. I think we've really got some momentum now. I'm really excited about how this came out and want to just keep working my way through this vehicle and finish it off. I hope you enjoyed this updated video and that you like what you see, and hopefully we'll see you in the next video as we continue with this project. Thanks for watching, and Yo Joe.